your brain decides whether food tastes good before you even take a bite. Scientists have proven that up to 80% of what you perceive as flavor has absolutely nothing to do with your tongue. That single fact rewrites everything most people think they know about taste, cooking, and why certain foods feel almost impossibly delicious while others fall completely flat. Welcome to Flavor Vault. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover the hidden science behind why certain foods taste better than others, and some of what you are about to hear will genuinely challenge everything you thought you understood about eating. We are going to cover the role your brain plays, why smell is the secret weapon of flavor, how texture and sound shape your perception of taste, and the one counterintuitive truth about why expensive food does not always taste better, it just feels like it does. Stay with us, because the last part of this video changes how you will think about every meal you ever eat again. To understand why food tastes the way it does, you have to go back about 500 million years. Taste itself is one of the oldest sensory systems in the animal kingdom. Early organisms evolved the ability to detect chemicals in their environment as a survival mechanism. Sweet meant energy. Bitter meant poison. Salty meant minerals. Sour meant fermentation. Umami, which was only officially recognized as a fifth taste by scientists in 1985, meant protein. These 5 basic tastes were not designed to bring pleasure. They were designed to keep animals alive. Every instinct you have about food, every craving, every aversion, is rooted in this ancient biological wiring. The problem is that modern food is extraordinarily complex, and that ancient system was never built to handle it. For centuries, humans assumed taste lived entirely on the tongue. The tongue does contain around 10,000 taste buds, each packed with receptor cells that fire signals to the brain when they encounter specific chemical compounds. But here is what nobody talks about: those taste buds account for less than 20% of what you actually experience when you eat. The rest of it is happening somewhere else entirely. The nose is the real engine of flavor. When you chew food, volatile aromatic compounds travel up through the back of your throat into your nasal passage in a process called retronasal olfaction. This is fundamentally different from smelling something directly through your nostrils. It creates a combined signal in your brain that your olfactory cortex and taste cortex process together, producing what neuroscientists call flavor, a full sensory construction, not a simple chemical reading. Studies conducted at the Monell Chemical Senses Center in Philadelphia have shown that when subjects block retronasal olfaction entirely, they lose the ability to distinguish between apple juice and onion juice. The tongue alone cannot tell them apart. That is how dominant smell really is. This is why coffee smells extraordinary and sometimes tastes disappointing on the first sip. The aroma is almost entirely retronasal once you start drinking, but your brain has already built a massive expectation based on what your nose detected externally. The gap between expectation and reality creates a sensory dissonance that your brain has to resolve. It is also exactly why a cold kills your sense of taste so dramatically. You are not losing tongue function. You are losing smell, and therefore losing most of what you perceive as flavor. But smell and taste are only part of the story. Sound and texture play a role that most people drastically underestimate. Oxford researcher Charles Spence has spent over 2 decades studying what he calls cross-modal flavor perception. His work has shown that the crunch of a potato chip fundamentally changes how much people enjoy it. In one landmark experiment, participants ate identical chips while hearing either enhanced crunching sounds or muffled ones through headphones. When the crunch was louder and crisper, people rated the chips as significantly fresher and more flavorful, even though the chip was exactly the same. Sound, it turns out, is a direct input into flavor perception. Texture works on the same principle. Foods that have what food scientists call textural contrast, a crispy exterior with a soft interior, for example, are consistently rated as more pleasurable than foods with uniform texture. This is why perfectly fried chicken is so satisfying and why soggy fried chicken feels deeply disappointing. It is also the science behind why carbonation makes drinks taste sharper and more refreshing. The tiny bubbles create a physical sensation on your tongue that your brain interprets as part of the flavor profile. Temperature adds yet another layer. Cold suppresses certain volatile compounds, which is why ice cream companies actually formulate their products to be sweeter than they need to be at room temperature. When you freeze something, your taste receptors become less sensitive, so manufacturers compensate with higher sugar content. Serve that same ice cream warm and it would taste almost unbearably sweet. The same principle applies to beer, wine, and virtually every other beverage category. Temperature is not just a preference, it is a calibration tool that chemically and neurologically reshapes flavor. Now here is where it gets truly fascinating, and where the science moves from biology into psychology. Your brain does not just receive flavor information, it actively constructs it based on context, expectation, and prior experience. This phenomenon has been demonstrated repeatedly in what researchers call the wine experiment. In a now famous 2008 study, participants were given the same wine poured into bottles labeled with two different prices, one marked at $10 and one marked at $90. Brain scans during the tasting showed significantly higher activity in the medial orbitofrontal cortex, the region associated with pleasure, when subjects believed they were drinking the more expensive bottle. They were not imagining the pleasure. They were genuinely experiencing more of it, because the brain was using price as a proxy for quality and adjusting the entire sensory experience accordingly. This is called the marketing placebo effect, and it is one of the most powerful forces in the food industry. Restaurant lighting, plate shape, background music, and even the weight of your cutlery have all been shown in peer-reviewed research to alter flavor perception measurably. Heavier forks make food taste more substantial. Dimmer lighting makes people eat more and rate food as more enjoyable. This is not manipulation in the sinister sense, it is the brain doing what it always does, using all available information to construct the most complete picture possible. But here is what nobody talks about when it comes to why food genuinely tastes better in certain situations. Memory and emotion are baked directly into flavor perception at a neurological level. Your hippocampus and amygdala, the brain regions responsible for memory and emotional response, are directly connected to your olfactory processing system. This is the only sense with a direct anatomical link to your emotional brain. It is why a specific smell can drag you back 20 years in an instant, flooding you with memory and feeling. It is also why food eaten during a happy experience, a birthday, a holiday meal, a first date, will consistently taste better than the same food eaten in a neutral or negative context. Your brain is layering emotional data on top of sensory data, and the result is richer, more complex, more satisfying flavor. The practical implications of all this science are significant. When chefs talk about building a dish, they are intuitively working with most of these principles without always naming them explicitly. Salt does not just make food taste saltier, it suppresses bitterness and enhances the perception of sweetness and umami simultaneously. Fat carries aromatic compounds and slows their release, extending flavor duration on the palate. Acid brightens flavor perception by stimulating salivation, which distributes taste compounds more efficiently across your tongue. Every great dish is a carefully engineered sensory experience, one designed to hit biological triggers, meet and exceed expectations, and create a physical pleasure response that your brain simply does not want to stop. Understanding this science does not remove the magic of a great meal. It actually deepens it. When you sit down to food that moves you, that makes you close your eyes for a second, you are experiencing the culmination of 500 million years of biological evolution, a complex orchestra of smell, taste, texture, sound, temperature, context, memory, and emotion all firing at once. That is not just food. That is one of the most sophisticated things the human brain ever does. The next time something tastes extraordinary, you will know exactly why. And the next time something falls flat, you will know exactly what to fix. Before you go, if you learned something new today, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Subscribe to Flavor Vault for a new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.